this is What's with People with Doc Locke. I'm social psychologist Dr. Stephanie Lockbuehler, and today we will be talking about the question, what's with people being so mean to celebrities? Why can't we just leave Simone Biles,
Taylor Swift, Lizzo, Billie Eilish, Machine Gun Kelly, Carrot Top, Justin Bieber, Adam Sandler, Kristen Stewart, Amy Schumer, Nickelback, JoJo Siwa, any of the Kardashians, Nicolas Cage, Guy Fieri, Kara Cunningham,
Britney alone? So many names. We love ourselves some famous people, don't we? And we have for a very long time. I mean, the term fame has been around since the Romans, and even in 1500s there were actors, writers, etc. who were well known not just for what they did, but who they were as people. And some even had stalkers. I love you, Shakespeare. We are just fascinated by the lives of famous people, and we tend to know a lot about them and even have very strong feelings towards them as if we had some sort of relationship with them. Which is kind of weird because it's a very one-sided relationship. This is what is called a parasocial relationship. We know a lot about them, sometimes too much. Will Smith. But they don't know anything about us at all. And boy, do we love to know about our celebrities. We have entire magazines and TV shows and websites just for knowing about the lives of the rich and famous. Pretty much everyone has experienced a parasocial experience with celebrities at some point in their lives, from yelling at the sports star on the screen, or getting invested in a celebrity's life, or feeling grief at the death of a beloved celebrity, or commenting on an influencer's post, tweeting criticism at a reality star, relating to a celebrity's struggle, celebrating the marriages of favorite stars, feeling a sense of loss when a band breaks up or our favorite show gets canceled or ends, seeing an on-screen celebrity as an off-screen relative or friend, or even just escaping a hard day by hanging out with friends or going where everyone knows your name. Yet, despite our unending interest as a society in celebrities' personal lives, we often don't think of or even treat them as people. In other words, we objectify them, or we see and treat them as objects, which is a part of dehumanization, which is also just like it sounds. We take the humanness of a person away, and we see and treat them differently because of it. And when people hear the word objectification, they often think of sexual objectification, or the treatment of a person based on their looks or body parts, which we definitely do to celebrities. But objectification itself isn't just about how hot they are, or our obsession with how much weight they've gained or lost, or what work they've had done. Objectification comes in a variety of flavors, like when we see them as objects merely for our entertainment. Hence, the late night jokes and the interviews, the magazines, the water cooler talk, paparazzi, reality shows, memes, and millions of followers. And it can also be that we see them as objects of worship. Hence the fan clubs, or the screaming hordes of people waiting to catch a glimpse of them, or posters and t-shirts, the racing hearts, the sweaty hands, and fumbling words when we meet them. I don't even know what to do, oh my God. And as a result of our objectification of them, they also can be objects of abuse. Hence the vitriol we spew at them on the internet, or in jokes, or in random conversations, or laughing at their mistakes or bad luck or traumas or struggles, or treating them worse than how we would treat folks that we interact with, or even strangers, because we forget that they are people. Let me say it again. We forget that they are people. It's easy to treat them badly if we just see them as objects of desire or worship or entertainment. And look, before you start saying, yeah, but they're rich, they can totally take it. Being rich doesn't shield you from emotional pain, from physical or emotional abuse, or mental health issues, or neglect from parents, or trauma experiences, or death and loss, or mean words from millions of strangers daily. Now, sure, they can distract themselves with jet ski rides and trips to St. Bart's, but that isn't a cure from the human experience of pain and loss, just like it wouldn't be for any of us. Don't be mean! No! Having money doesn't necessarily make it easier for them to deal with emotional pain. In fact, I think that it may make them a bit more alone, since no one seems to think that they feel feelings like the rest of us. Now, while we are less compassionate of stars' big struggles and mistakes, especially if they are female, but I digress, there is research that shows that we actually like our celebrities more when they make small mistakes, or when they're seen as perfectly imperfect. This is called the pratfall effect, which is the tendency to find highly talented or competent people to be more likable when they commit everyday blunders than those who don't. In one study on this, participants were divided into 4 groups. Each group listened to a tape recording of someone auditioning for a television quiz show by answering trivia questions. In the recording, they either heard one of 4 scenarios: a superior person, like an honors student or top athlete or someone who's smart, answering questions, or they heard an average person, someone with average grades who didn't make the sports team, maybe not as smart, answering the questions, or they heard the superior person answering questions and committing an everyday blunder like spilling coffee on themselves, or they heard the average person answering questions and committing the same exact blunder. It was found that the people considered superior were found to be more likable if they had committed an everyday blunder like spilling coffee on themselves, while the average person was actually found to be less likable after doing the same exact mistake. Now, why the heck is that? Well, it was found that our own self-esteem impacts whether we will like superior people more or less after they make mistakes because of social comparison theory. Remember? Which is how we evaluate or enhance ourselves by comparing ourselves to others. A part of this theory is the self-evaluation maintenance model, which is all about how we aim to feel good about ourselves through comparing ourselves to others, and how we react to these comparisons, either by feeling threatened by them or feeling inspired by them, is determined by whether the person we're comparing ourselves to is perceived as similar or close to us. If people similar to us make a mistake, we like them less, because we see them as a threat to our own self-esteem. It's kind of like we see ourselves in them in a way, so we don't like it when they make mistakes because it makes us feel bad, just like we don't really like it if we make our own mistakes. So in this case, if you see yourself as similar to the superior person, you like them less when they make a mistake, right? But since most of us are average and therefore feel most similar to the average person, we like the average person less when they make a mistake. And the reason why we like the superior people more after blunders is because it shows them as more human and relatable to us average folk, which makes us feel good about ourselves, knowing that we are closer to being similar to the superior people. I'm superior. But celebrities don't often show us their blunders. They are often treated as a brand, which is another form of objectification. And their people and even themselves seek to portray themselves as amazing and flawless and perfect. They've got entire teams dedicated to portraying that perfect image through publicists and managers, brands, Photoshop, etc., which, when portrayed this way, often makes us engage in upward comparisons, which is comparing ourselves to someone better than us. Depending on how we perceive the superior person, we can either feel inspired by their greatness, or their greatness can make us feel bad about ourselves. In that case, we may actually engage in behaviors to protect our self-esteem, like we may have a desire to try and make them into downward comparisons, which is when we compare ourselves to someone that is worse than us. And in that case, we may actually engage in behaviors to protect our self-esteem, like we may even have a desire to make them into what's called downward comparisons, which is when we compare ourselves to someone that's worse than us. Now, this kind of comparison is known to make us feel good about ourselves. Ever hear people say that sometimes people will tear others down to make them feel better about themselves? Yeah, it's true. And as we've heard from previous videos, it's more common or easier to do when we feel psychologically distant from a celebrity, coupled with our objectification of them, and in addition to being able to hide behind a screen versus face to face, and feeling like we're a crowd of random voices shouting at the individual, mob behavior. All of this makes it really easy to be a dickhead. But maybe don't be a dickhead? Just because it may be easy to fall prey to these tendencies, we still have the ability to make choices, so we don't have to be that way. Don't forget, famous people are still people, and they're not just objects for our entertainment or our worship or abuse or self-esteem. And even though they have more money than you or can sing better than you or are hotter than you or they do things with a sports ball better than you or are funnier than you, doesn't mean that they deal with normal life shit better than you. Oh, motherfucker. Do you like me better? How you like me now? Say that you love me. Oh, thank you so much. I spilled that coffee so well. Am I famous yet? It's been a while. I'm super.
Na 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 na.